Yeah, people, still vibing off that theme, man. It's so fire, right? And I tell you what else is fire. It's UFC Fight Night, Edwards v Brady. Okay, yes, the UFC is back in London town, and I cannot wait. I mean, I'm in two minds a little because I am gonna be in the venue, but my ass is working. I'm working, so I can't watch the fights. So yeah, it means getting back from work and then watching the fights. So and you know what? There's no way I'm gonna be able to avoid results. That's the other killer. But I am looking forward to this one for real, for real, for real. And man, there's some really good fucking fights. Really, I know I said it last week and the week before, but legitimately, there's great fights. These matchups, I'm all about it. You know what I mean? And the prelims, man, prelims are good. Prelims are good. We got 13 fights on the card as they try to do, and so far everything is intact, you know. So we start the night off with the lightweights, right? We start the night off with the lightweight. We've got Goran Kutsalades against Cool Fernandez. Now, I tell you what's really interesting about this, right? Because I don't know, I thought, our Georgian Viking had more fights. Right? For some reason, I'm like, yeah, no, he's been around, man. He's had several fights. I mean, he's had 4. So yeah, I guess that is, he's 2-2. Right, 2-2 after he's, the start, right? Because he came in with a win over Mateusz Gamrot. Right, it was a split decision. I know a lot of people figured Mateusz had won, but yeah, Goran got that win. So he came with a good start. Right, and then, just the last 2 didn't go his way. He did them, the last 2 fights before the last one. Yeah, but that all came out terribly. But yeah, he does, interesting enough, have a win over Jordan Vanek. Right? So he's got who is also on the card today. They fought and Goran won. So that's his last win, which was August last year. Right? He's Goran's got decent grappling. Right? He's got decent grappling, well, takedowns and stuff, and he's steady. He is steady. He's going up against, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing. I was going to say, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name right. I pretty much know I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. We could take that one to the bank. You know what I mean? But Cool Fernandez, right? He is 9-2. He's coming off of a win himself. Right? He's 1-1 in the UFC. Right? So yeah, he came from LFA, lost his debut to Mark Tukase, and but won his last fight against Muhammad Yahya. First round stoppage. That was on the same card as Goran's fight, right? So yeah, we got that one. Now, Oh, it's tough because of the experience, right? When you break it down, when you look at it, Fernandez hasn't got as much experience as Goran, but he does have more finishes, right? So you kind of could assume he's got heavier hands, right? You can kind of assume that. Now, we could also say that Goran has fought higher quality opponents, which, yeah, he definitely has. So it is, yeah, it is a little tricky. Is a little tricky for sure. But you know what? I like to roll the dice sometimes, people. So I'm going to go with Fernandez for the win. All right, I'm going Fernandez for the win. Now, next up, we have got a clash in the bantamweights. All right, we're going to the bantamweights. We got Nathan Fletcher against Cohen Longhan. And interesting enough, these two fought in the amateurs. They fought in the amateurs, and Fletcher went away with the victory. So there is that scenario there, which adds a little extra spice to things, right? Cullen is Irish, Fletcher is English. And I think Cullen, right? I think the big thing with him, his first fight in the UFC, he fought Taylor Lapalus in France, and he came out just disrespecting French MMA, right? And then he lost. He did come back, bounced back with a win. Then he lost his most recent fight to Jake Hadley, and I believe Hadley took that on short notice. Now, watching Fletcher in the last season of The Ultimate Fighter, it looked like he was someone that might be in contention to win, but then he lost his fight. Now, you then find out that he'd broken his leg. So, the fact that he actually finished the fight, I mean, you have to give the man mad props, right? You have to give the man mad props. Then when he got the call, he did win his UFC debut. So, and he got a nice little arm triangle in the second. And I think what we saw, Cullen, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be able to handle Fletcher's ground game. So, I'm saying Nathan Fletcher is gonna do his thing, people. Nathan Fletcher gonna do his thing. So, next we go to the ladies strawweight division. Ladies strawweight division, we've got Shayna Bannon against Pooja Tamar, right? So, Bannon, she's fought in Invicta, right? This is her second UFC, third. She lost her debut against Bruna Brazil, then beat Alice Arbaline in her next fight, split decision. It was, it was one of them fights which could have gone either way, right? So she's scrappy. I think that's what we've seen from Bannon. She's scrappy, right? She's not going to fold under pressure. Now, Pooja, right? She is the first Indian, fighter to get a win in the UFC. I'm watching that fight and it was Oh man, like as it was getting close to the end, you were just like, "Oh, come on, do it, get the win." And she like the other girl was throwing, and you're just like, "Oh, is it gonna be one of those crazy things?" But she pulled it out. She pulled it out. She's on a 5-fight win streak, and I think, like watching her fight, I think she's got potential. Like there was a few things, like leaning when she's throwing a punch, so open to a head kick potentially. Right? There's things that you saw that she could finesse, right? Work on. But that fight was June last year, June 2024. And, she's going to be in the gym perfecting those skills, right? You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. So she is looking to, elevate. And I think, right, I'm going to take Tamar to get the victory in this fight. It's going to be an interesting one, though. It's going to be an interesting one. Right? So we are in the middleweight division next. We have got Christian Leroy Duncan against Andre Polavev. Now, Polavev, right? He is making his UFC debut, coming off the Contender Series. Right, he fought in August 2024, unanimous decision over Liam Anderson. He's got stoppages, right, by punches, and he's got some submissions, which is, so it's rounded. But, obviously, on the regional scene, so, it's one of those things, right? And a lot of the fighters he beat had losing records. And the first person he fought with a winning record, that was his first loss. Right? So there is that. So you can look at the competition that he's faced outside and go, yeah, it's probably not the same as that competition Christian, CLD has faced. I think that would be a fair, assessment, right? Now, CLD, before he came to UFC, he was all the rage, right? He was doing his thing, his Cage Warriors. He was undefeated when he came. He's now 3-2 in the UFC. And his first loss to Arman Petrosian was a weird one, right? Because Duncan just didn't really get out of first gear. Didn't really do a lot. I mean, losing to Gregory Rodriguez, there is no shame in that. Rodriguez is a monster, right? Old RoboCop. So there's no shame in that. Now, his other fights, Duncan has got stoppages. Now, his stoppages, you can say, are definitely against a higher caliber of competition. Right? You can definitely say that. He's got a sub. He got a rear naked over in Cage Warriors. So, he might not be a black belt. I'm not sure about that one, people. But he definitely knows he knows a thing or two, right? Knows a thing or two. So I'm thinking CLD gets back on track, right? And I think maybe starts to show that form that had people so jazzed about before he got to the UFC. So yes, we're going Christian Leroy Duncan for the win. So now we go to the big boys, right? The heavyweights. And this should be a fun one for sure. You have Marcin Tybura against Mick Parkin, right? So we've got Tybura, who is, man, he's a vet, right? He's 13-8. He's 13-8. So that means he's had 21 fights in the UFC. That's a lot of fights. Right? He beat Hunter Daniz. It was a doctor stoppage in the second round. I believe it was a cut over the eye. I believe that's what had gone down. I think Tybura was winning the fight, right? But Deniz, I don't think it would have stopped in the second otherwise, if it wasn't for the cut, you know what I mean? And Deniz, he wanted to fight on, right? Wanted to fight on. So, it's funny because Tybura, he's got subs and he's been subbed, right? He's been stopped, but he's put together some good wins. So he's one of those tricky ones, right? It's definitely been one of those. He's had skids and then he's come back and gone on little runs. So it is, it's an interesting fight. Tybura's got skills, but here's the thing. Tybura is going up against Mick Parkin, and Parkin has looked sensational. Right? Oh, man. He's on a 17-fight win streak. 17-fight win. Now, that does include amateurs, right? He's 4-0 in the UFC, came via the Contender Series, and Parkin be dropping. He's been, throwing those hands. Now, his first 3 fights were, decisions. But he looked good, right? He definitely looked good in all of those fights. And some of them you thought he could have got that finish, right? If he had just put it together a bit more. And in that last fight, that's exactly what he did, right? Against Lucas Brzeski, he put it together and, man, hey, he weren't no 24-hour Parkin, right? Right, my man was just in and out, right? In and out. And he did his thing, right? It's like he was evading the parking meter. This is dreadful. I apologize, people. He's fighting the Contender Series. He won by rear naked choke, right? So we know he's got a ground game, and he's got knockout power. And I think Mick Parkin is going to continue to shine. He's going to continue to shine. And Parkin is going to be reserving a space for Tybura. All right, so next up, oh man, I am looking forward to this flyweight fight, right? We have Lone Kavanagh against Felipe dos Santos. And, right? So, dos Santos, he's, coming off a loss in his last fight, right? Coming on loss in his last fight. He's 1-2 in the UFC. Now, his last fight was against Andre Lima, and we saw last week that Andre Lima ain't no slouch, right? Ain't no slouch. And his other loss in UFC is against Manel Kape. So there's no shame in those two, No shame in those two. and they were decisions, right? And we know both of them dudes can finish. So, yeah, he did okay with that. Right now, he's had submissions in his past, right, and different ones. Guillotine, armbar, triangle. So he knows his way around the mats. Now, the thing is, I can't go against Lanier Kavanagh, right? He looked sensational in his two outings. Well, when I say two outings, like the Contender Series and then his UFC debut. He looked so good, right? He was a first round stoppage on the Contender Series. And then he did go the distance, but I don't think that was a bad thing. I believe there was a point where it looked like he might get the stoppage. Right? So, man, Kavanagh just looks so good. And I'd seen him fight in Cage Warriors, and he looked really good over there. And I do believe that Kavanagh is going to be in the mix, right? I think we're going to see him in that mix. And, I think only time will tell if he can get to the belt, but I think he has the potential, right? It's whether he grabs it, right? It's whether he grabs that potential, but I think it is there. So I'm going Kavanagh to get the win. And that, people, leads us to our main event of the prelims, right? It's another lightweight clash. And we have got Jai Herbert against Chris Padilla, right? And, it's... Oh, man. It's an interesting one, right? The Black Country Banger. I'm not that much a fan of Herbert's nickname. I think it's a bit, laborious. But he's coming off a win in his last fight. All right, he's 3-4 in the UFC. And, man, he has definitely got potential, right? Definitely got potential. But shit just hasn't always gone his way, right? Like, you thought he was going to stop Topuria. And then Topuria comes back the next round and stops him. You know what I mean? That's just the bad luck, right? He's beaten Karma Worthy. Great win. Lost to Renato Moricano. It's a difficult one because Herbert has definitely got skill. It's definitely got skill. You worry about the chin at times, right? And he is hittable. He's hittable. So going up against, Chris Padilla, Taco, right? Who, 2 wins, right? 2 fights in UFC, 2 wins. His last fight was September last year. It was a doctor stoppage. He won his UFC debut against James Lontop. Rear naked choke in the first. I really like what I see from Taco. Right? So, you know what? I'm going to have to go Taco for the win. Right? See, this is the thing, people. It doesn't really matter where you come from. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a UK fighter, if you're a Nigerian fighter, I still might not go with you. It's all about the matchup, the skill set, right? That's what it's got to be, But prelims, man, prelims are lit, Prelims are lit. Cannot wait. So let's see if these predictions, go the right way, shall we?